Supine Scapular Series on the trapeze table. I have a red spring attached to the top of the push-through bar, so we're springing the bar from above. We don't need the safety strap for that. So I just hooked it up around the pin here, just so that it's out of the way. Supine Scap Series was something that I didn't understand in the beginning when I first learned it. I had no idea what it was about. Now I hope I do. And it's such a beneficial exercise to give somebody awareness for the shoulder girdle, to teach them a whole lot of stuff about how their shoulders are supposed to work. So let me try and tell you. If you do this by yourself, you're going to have to take the bar down with you as you lie down. If you have a teacher, obviously you don't need that. They can help you with that. As you lie down, you can have your legs either bent or straight, whichever you prefer, not much difference. And I'm having my hands pretty much out to the sides of the bar. And my shoulders are under the bar or under my wrist. I believe I'm a little bit, sometimes hard to see from this angle. I believe I'm a little bit further back than the bar. There is a sweet spot, and as I'm doing it, I'll talk about that a little bit. Perfect. So the first thing that you'll do is just let the bar pull your shoulders up off the table, and then pull the shoulders back down to the table. Pull the shoulders up and back down. Now this is an extremely small movement. And in my personal body, it's even a smaller movement. So I have to be really careful not to overdo it. If your body's different, or you have regulating more thoracic flexion in your spine, then it'll look a little bit bigger maybe, and that's fine. That's a good thing. Perfect. So basically what this is, it's protraction of the scapula, and then instead of saying retraction, I would say just returning to neutral. Because if I actually retract my scapula, do you see how my rib cage is actually lifting, right? And I'm creating all the space under my back, and my ribs are flaring. So I don't want that. What the benefit is of this exercise is to go into protraction and then stabilize, pull into neutral, and bring your ribs together and sort of stabilize your shoulder girdle, your arm, in your core. So upper extremity core integration. I love this for it. Everybody thinks it's all shoulders, right? And they completely forget about the core and what's going on down there. So I usually try and say this is not about the shoulders, it's much more about the core. As the bar goes up, you can focus on breathing into the back. As the bar goes down, you focus on pulling the ribs together. Don't focus on pulling the shoulders down. That's sort of, you're doing that anyway. You don't have to put much emphasis into that. And if this works well, then we can talk about the rotation in the arms. So as the bar goes up, allow the elbows to rotate out to the side. As you pull down, rotate your elbows towards your feet. So you rotate out to the sides on the way up. You rotate towards your feet on the way down. You can imagine this like screwing a screw into the wall. Right? So there's this rotation as you screw the screw out of the wall, and this opposite rotation as you screw it in. And that's really what it is. You're tightening the upper arm in your torso. Okay? So up and out, down and in. Up and out, down and in. And then focus on this area. As you lift up, your serratus gets worked here, right? Through the abduction of the shoulder blade. And then as you pull down, make sure you're doing it from here. By the way, this is a good variation, single arm variation, right? You can do this all in one arm. So that the spring feels heavier and you get more work. Very important that when you pull down, if you pull too far down, the shoulders shrug. We don't want that either, right? So we want to keep the focus down here. And that's a lot of small little detail that a beginner in Pilates is often overwhelmed with. So start easy, start simple. Okay. I call this variation up and down because that's what the bar is doing. So it's easier for everybody to understand, so that we don't get thrown by terms that we might misinterpret. Then we can do overhead, where you bend the elbows and you push the bar back overhead, and then come back. All right. The same thing about the core is still true. You're bending the elbows, and then as you extend the arms, at one point you'll feel your ribs will want to lift, and you're not letting it. So you'll only extend the bar to the point where you can maintain the rib cage down, and then bring it back up. Okay? Pull it down, push it back, melt your rib cage into the mat as you extend, and then come back. And then one more thing about this is you want, so I'm having my thumbs with my other fingers instead of wrapping my thumbs on the opposite side. The reason is, if my thumbs are on the opposite side of my fingers, the elbows tend to want to go out already. We want to internally rotate the upper arms. If my thumbs are with the other fingers, it's easier for me to externally rotate my upper arms, meaning turn my elbows towards my feet. So I want to maintain this as I go back. And you'll feel it as you start to extend. One elbow or both will want to do this. They want to kick out to the side because you lose the strength in that shoulder, in that rotator cuff muscle that keeps the external rotation. So I'm fighting and fighting and fighting, trying to straighten my arms more without letting my elbows kick out, and then I'm coming back. So there's a lot of good stuff happening. My ribs, my upper abdominals are working really hard as well. Great. And then there's the rotation variation. So I'm placing one hand into the center of the bar, and the other arm is just going to rest down by the side. I'm going to prepare a little bit with lift and lower, or up and down, with that rotation. So my elbow rotates out on the way up, my elbow rotates towards my feet on the way down. Up and out, down and in. Then I'm going to allow my head to roll to the side towards my ear as I'm doing the same movement with my arm, and my whole upper thoracic spine is rotating a little bit. My hips are staying still. And then I'm going to rotate the arm as I'm rolling back down to center. So the shoulder starts, serratus is lifting, the shoulder is abducting, and then it pulls my upper thoracic spine into the rotation, and my cervical spine obviously as well. And then I'm beginning here. This is the first part. My rib cage is the first part to come back. And my shoulder is the last thing to come back down. One last time. The shoulder begins, the bar goes up, my head is rotating, my thoracic spine is rotating opposite direction, right? First the thoracic spine, then the head. And then come back. You're beginning on the bottom here. You're beginning with the rib cage. And then segmentally rotating the spine back to center. Let me show you just with the other arm. So you see the other direction. My elbow is rotating, my upper arm is internally rotating, my upper thoracic and my cervical spine are rotating. And then I begin at the bottom. You can touch the back of your student to help them feel where they want to start. And then you rotate the arm and the shoulder goes back. Careful that it's not up here. Keep it down. Pull it down as far as you can. This is harder because the arm is more adducted. It's harder to get this down, right, while keeping the ribs down. Okay, and you rotate the arm, you rotate your upper thoracic and your neck, and return to center with the arm as well. Okay? That was Supine Scapular Series.